Chapter 16 of The Autobiography of a Newspaper Girl by Elizabeth L. Banks. This recording is in the public domain. Chapter 16 An Encounter with Mrs. Lynn Linton. There goes your enemy. I was out walking one afternoon with a friend in the vicinity of St. James's Park, and as an elderly woman with what seemed to me to be a kind, sympathetic face passed us, my friend thus addressed me. "My enemy!" I exclaimed in surprise. "Who is my enemy?" "The lady that just passed." "But I don't know her. Who is she?" "Mrs. Lynn Linton." "You mean the author?" "Yes. Now don't tell me you didn't know you were her particular, well, I'll call it objection. You are a subject upon which she can grow extremely eloquent. Your name comes up rather often, you know, these days, and she never misses an opportunity to speak her mind about you. She views you in the light of the Scarlet Woman journalist, I believe." "That's ridiculous!" I exclaimed. "I don't know her, and she doesn't know me. I never did anything to her, and it is impossible she should want to injure me." "Oh, she wouldn't injure you, except with her tongue. When people ask her what she thinks of the new kind of journalism you've been doing in England, she tosses her head and says, 'Oh, that creature! Do you call that journalism?' Then she goes on to express her opinion of your work and you in no very amiable terms. She thinks you are a very shocking person, a vulgar creature seeking notoriety, and when she hears of your having been invited to the homes of any of her friends, she hopes that they will arrange things so she and you won't come into contact. Some of the interesting adjectives she used to describe you are really interesting. Brassy is one of the words she applies to you. She is your very dearest enemy, I assure you." I went back to my hotel in a very bewildered, not to say highly agitated state of mind. It was all so very strange that I could have gained the enmity of a woman like Mrs. Lynn Linton, a well-known author, a highly successful journalist, who had made her way, as I had heard, through many hardships to the eminence she had attained. She, with all her experience, who had lived past the 80 years, she to be the enemy of one who was young and poor and struggling like myself. The more I thought it over, the more absurd it seemed that a woman like Mrs. Lynn Linton, whom I knew only by reputation, and who, so far as I knew, had never seen me, should take the trouble to berate me in this manner, and I concluded that perhaps my friend was either trying to tax my credulity with a rather cruel sort of joke, or that she was repeating things she had heard which had no foundation in fact. I remembered that I knew a number of people who were well acquainted with Mrs. Lynn Linton, so I made it my business to see them and put to them the question, "Have you ever heard that Mrs. Linton has any particular dislike for me?" With the result that I got the same information I had from my first friend, and my bewilderment was increased. Indeed, anger took the place of bewilderment after a time, for it seemed to me particularly unjust and cruel that a woman in the position of Mrs. Lynn Linton should hold me up to contempt, and give an impression of my personality to strangers who might judge me accordingly, an impression that was as silly as it was unjust. "I must meet Mrs. Lynn Linton," I said to myself. "If she were a man, I'd find another man to take up my cause and fight her to a finish, but as she's a woman, I'll have to see her myself." Thereupon I wrote her a letter. "Dear Madame," it ran, "I am writing a magazine article on the subject of certain aspects of woman's position in England as compared with that in the United States. I have a feeling that you might, if you would, give me certain information which would be of great assistance to me, and I write to ask if you will allow me to call upon you some time in the near future, at any hour you wish to appoint. I have, of course, long known you by name and read and loved some of your books when I was at boarding school. I should like very much to know you personally. You perhaps know of me through my work in London during the past 3 years. Faithfully yours." The letter went, and in the evening came the stiff reply: "Madame, if you will call to morrow morning at 11 o'clock, I can see you a few minutes. Yours truly, E. Lynn Linton." When I called upon Mrs. Lynn Linton at the time she appointed, my heart almost failed me, so stern, so aggressive, so uncompromising did she look as I stood in the doorway. She did not at first offer to shake hands, nor ask me to sit down, she herself standing the while. "You wished to see me? What can I do for you?" was her greeting. "Yes, Mrs. Lynn Linton," I said, for although I had written the letter on the spur of the moment with no particular questions to ask her in mind, I had, after receiving her note, formulated a sort of skeleton upon which to build up an article upon the position of working women in England and America. "Yes," I said, "I am writing an article concerning the different occupations pursued by English women, especially educated English women, and comparing self-supporting English women with self-supporting American women. Now take, for instance, journalism. You have been a journalist so long that I feel sure you know the very beginnings of the English woman's work in journalism. Life is somewhat different for American journalists in England from what it is in America." We were both standing near the door of the sitting room where Mrs. Lynn Linton received me. I was looking squarely into her face, while she was examining every detail of my appearance and apparel. Finally she murmured, as though she had not heard a word of what I had been saying: "Your hair is rather pretty and of the fashionable shade, and it is not bleached." "I don't understand you, Mrs. Linton," I said, with a face that I knew must show both my anger and amusement at this observation, which seemed to be not exactly apropos to the subject which I had hoped to put under discussion. "But my hair is not bleached, and I can't see any reason why you should mention it." "But surely you can't consider it an insult to have it thought your hair might be bleached. Of course you can't blame me for thinking you would be apt to bleach your hair and paint your face too." I did not answer. I merely looked at this strange woman who, I had been told, was my enemy. "I think I did not ask you to sit down. I must also sit down. I am not well." "Thank you," I answered, and I took the sofa to which she pointed. "Why did you come here?" she asked. "Do you mean why did I come to see you?" "No. Why did you come to England and take the bread out of young English women journalists' mouths?" "Surely, Mrs. Linton, I have not done that." "Yes, you have done that. You, with your horrible, unwomanly kind of work, have demoralized the taste of London editors, who at one time were content to fill their papers with good, decent, legitimate literature. Now they have a craving for the sensational, horrible kind of thing you have introduced to them. I say you have ruined the English editors. You are responsible for their downfall." I knew I must not laugh, that is, out loud, at the thought of poor little me having created such havoc among the hitherto staid and stolid British editors, so I made a tremendous effort at self-control and said: "I deny that I have ever taken bread from any woman's mouth, and I also deny having had any such influence as you say I have had upon English editors. Furthermore, I have never done any work of which I have cause to be ashamed. I have never stooped to a thing that was indelicate, unwomanly, or dishonorable." Mrs. Lynn Linton did not answer. She, however, looked her contempt. "I do not wish to appear inhospitable, though I disapprove of you and your work. Will you have a brandy and soda?" "I don't drink brandy and soda," I answered. "I supposed of course you did. But you smoke cigarettes, do you not?" "No, I never saw a woman smoke a cigarette till I came to London. The first time I ever saw a woman smoke was when I called at the office of a young English woman journalist. She was sitting on her table, smoking. I also never saw a woman drink brandy and soda till I came to England. I find that very nice women do it in England, but in my country it is different." "What! You mean to say you do not smoke or drink brandy and soda. English women have been taking it up so lately. They got it from Americans." "No, not from Americans. Drinking and smoking are things from which my countrywomen, as a whole, are free. Some of them learn these things when they come to England, but as for me, I have not been an apt scholar." "We will let that pass," she replied. "I would like to know why you went out as a servant, why you stood at Piccadilly Circus and sold flowers, why by misrepresentations you got into a laundry, why you swept a crossing and did all the other disgusting things you did. Couldn't you have fun in some other way? As I said before, you took bread from needy English women's mouths." "I did all these things, Mrs. Linton, to put some bread into my own mouth." "What, are you poor?" she asked, turning round sharply. "Do you think I would do that hard work if I were not poor?" I asked. "But do you mean that you earn your livelihood by doing that kind of work?" "I did earn it that way for a time. I am not doing so much of it now because I've made a name and am getting on better." I had noted that during the last few minutes Mrs. Linton's voice had grown more gentle, her face less stern. Yet she spoke again like the accusing judge. "You got into people's houses as a servant by false representations." "Not very false," I returned. "I said that I was an American woman, though of English descent; that I had come to England for personal reasons, and suddenly found myself penniless, with no way of earning my living except by going out to service. I did my work to the best of my ability. I wrote it up in a way to make people laugh, for though I was sad myself, I knew there was no market for sad stories, so I made things funny, which were, in reality, very horrible and pathetic. When I had done that work, it turned out so successful that a number of editors asked me to do other work of the same sort for them, and I did it, but never for a moment have I lost my self-respect. I am not ashamed of any of my actions since I came to England. I have never once forgotten that I was a woman, nor allowed any one else to forget it." I looked at Mrs. Lynn Linton as though I challenged her. "It is all very strange," she said, half reminiscently. "How I could have made such a mistake, for you seem to be a gentlewoman. Yet, how could a gentlewoman do the work that you have done? I thought you were a brazen creature, a sort of wild, adventuresome female, worse even than the shrieking women of England, and they are bad enough." She came to the sofa. "Have you ever heard that I am a very uncompromising, set, determined old woman, and that I seldom change my opinions?" "No," I answered, smiling. "Yes, it is true. I am that. It is very hard for me to say I have made a mistake. Do you know that I fear I have done you many a wrong? Oh, the things I have said about you have not been nice things, I assure you. You have been the talk of London, you know. My neighbors at dinners and teas have asked me what I thought of your work, and I have not spoken too kindly of you. I have called you brazen, unspeakable. People have laughed and said I was prejudiced, but I would not admit it. I suppose I have read nearly everything you have written, out of merest curiosity, and so that I could condemn you the more. I have never written anything about you for the papers, because once after writing something against you, I was advised that it was too harsh, and was asked to take it out. I, an old woman, have perhaps prejudiced people against you, a young woman, trying to make your way in the world. I want you to forgive me for the injury I may have or might have done you. Of course you did not know till I told you, and you might never have known." "Yes, I did know it, Mrs. Linton," I replied. "I have been told, and I determined to come and see you under some pretext, so that I could disabuse your mind of your prejudice against me. It did not seem possible for me that you could go on misunderstanding and feeling as I had heard you felt, and especially speaking as you have done, when once you had an opportunity of realizing my position. Though you are so much older and wiser than I, and it may sound almost disrespectful for me to say it to you, I am going to tell you that I came to teach you something, a lesson I knew you ought to learn. I have come to you not only for myself, but for all women who must work and earn their bread, to ask you, not for kindness, not for benevolence, nor assistance in any way, but only for justice. Are you angry that I speak like this?" "No, my child," she said, taking my hand. "I shall always be glad you came. I am old and you are young, but you have been the teacher and I the pupil. Did you say you forgave me?" I could not now turn hypocrite and say in the casual, untruthful way that one often does, "Oh, there's nothing to forgive." There was something. I knew it. Mrs. Linton knew it. And so I said, "Yes, I forgive you." Mrs. Linton had written me that she could spare me a few minutes, but it was hours before I left her that day. She invited me to stay with her to luncheon. She showed me some of her most treasured books. She told me of her lonely life, of her religious beliefs, of her girlhood, of her marriage, and of many of the things that made her life a not too happy one. I told her about my own countrywomen, their schools, their universities, their means of helping themselves, and their position in the workaday world. She laughed over my recitals of my childhood days on the Wisconsin farm, when I told her about the college cow and the college hen. How all the cream that rose on the milk of the one college cow was turned into butter to be sold at a village store, and the proceeds added to the fund called the College Fund, and how the eggs of the college hen were put to the same use, and helped materially to send me to boarding school. I told her about the policeman who called me the little reporter, and how kind were the editors and reporters on the Western and Southern papers where I worked just before I came to England, and the dear old lady laughed, sometimes with the tears rolling down her cheeks, exclaiming, "Very American! Very American!" She was about to go into the country, she told me, and we agreed that when she had come back, and I had returned from the American trip that I was about to make, I should run in often to see her, and not be formal. "You have done missionary work to-day," she said, when I was going. "You've converted a cantankerous old woman, and made her see the necessity of reading between the lines when she picks up books and papers that do not seem to be according to her old-fashioned notions. Don't think I approve of all your work even yet. It's not my idea of journalism. I do not think it ought to be encouraged, and I think it was a very dreadful thing for a gentlewoman to have to sweep a crossing, and sell flowers, and work among laundry girls, even to write about these things. Don't tell me you came into contact with the kind of people you'd like to associate with when you did these things. Oh, I used to feel contempt at your doing it, and now it worries me to think you had to do it. Was there no other way?" "It was the only way, Mrs. Linton," I said. "But you've stopped it now? You do not run the danger of having your fingers cut off with the laundry machinery any more, or of dying from picking strawberries in the rain?" "No," I said, laughing. "I'm getting on now. I write for the magazines and the reviews, and I expect I shall become a really proper person, and perhaps a stately journalist after a while." She laughed and bent over me as I went out of the door. Through the years that have passed I remember her words, a kindly benediction, a friendly warning from one who is about to finish her career to one who had but begun. "Guard against bitterness and cynicism. Have faith and hope and charity, especially charity, the charity in which perhaps I have sometimes failed." It was not my privilege to learn to know Mrs. Lynn Linton very much better than I knew her when she bade me good bye that afternoon. I went almost immediately to America, and just as I returned from my somewhat prolonged stay there, Mrs. Lynn Linton died. It was with a conviction that she would be glad to have me tell this little story of her that I include it in these reminiscences. Chapter 17